Hey, have you ever stopped to think about what actually gets you out of bed in the morning? Or what keeps you chasing after a dream year after year? Well, it turns out there's kind of a map for that. Today, we're diving into a framework that completely revolutionized a profession by asking those very questions. It's called the Model of Human Occupation, or as we'll be calling it, MOHO.
But to really get why MOHO was such a game changer, we have to start with this question. Because the story of this model wasn't born from some academic exercise, it was born from a full-blown identity crisis.
So picture this. It's the 70s and 80s, and occupational therapy is kind of at a crossroads. The pressure was on to become more medical, more reductionistic, to focus only on the physical problem, a specific injury or impairment, instead of looking at the whole person. Their life, their passions, their daily routines. The very soul of the profession, its holistic heart, was really in danger of getting lost.
And right out of that professional chaos, a new path forward was drawn up. It was a framework designed to pull the focus right back to the very things that make us human, our occupations.
And that framework is MOHO. Developed back in 1980 by a guy named Gary Kielhofner, it was designed to be a mental map for therapists, a guide to help them understand the complex, messy, and beautiful way we all choose, organize, and perform the activities that fill up our lives. So how does this map actually work? Well, it all revolves around this central engine, this core concept called the human action cycle. You see, MOHO sees everything we do not as a single, isolated event, but as a continuous, dynamic cycle. It's kind of like learning a new skill, right? Let's say you're learning to bake bread. You take in information. That's the recipe. You process it. You think about the steps. You act. You knead the dough. And then you get feedback. You see how it tastes. That constant loop of doing, learning, and adjusting is at the absolute heart of this model. Okay, so let's pop the hood on this engine of human action. It's actually a really simple, elegant three-step process. And believe it or not, it's happening inside of you right now and in every single moment of your life.
It all kicks off with input. This is every little piece of information the world is sending your way. The words you're hearing right now, the light in the room, plus all the feedback you're getting from the things you've just done.
Now this is where the magic happens. All that raw information flows into what you could call our internal processing plant. This is the internal throughput stage, where our unique personality, our habits, and our skills all get to work to make sense of everything. And all of that internal processing leads to an output, which is just a fancy word for an action. You speak, you move, you create something. And here's the crucial part. That action immediately generates new feedback, which becomes fresh input, starting the entire brilliant cycle all over again. It's a constant loop of living and adapting. So let's crack open that internal throughput box, because inside are the three keys MOHO uses to understand a person: volition, habituation, and performance capacity. The first one, and you could argue the most powerful, is volition. This is our motivation, our inner drive, our fire. It is the fundamental why behind everything we choose to do, from the tiniest task to the biggest life goal. Now, this drive is fueled by three things. First, you've got personal causation. That's your belief in your own effectiveness, that I can do this feeling. Then you have interests, the things that just light you up, that make you lose all track of time. And finally, your valued goals. These are the things you believe are truly important, the stuff that gives your actions meaning. Now, what's really fascinating here is this idea of personal causation. Are you an origin, the author of your own story, feeling like you're in control of your destiny? Or do you feel more like a pawn, like you're being moved around by forces outside your control? A huge part of therapy using MOHO is about helping people pick up that pen and rewrite their own story, from pawn to origin. All right, next up is habitation. If volition is the why, habituation is the how often. This is our brain's brilliant autopilot system. It organizes our lives into familiar patterns and routines, which frees up a ton of our mental energy for other things.
And this structure is really built from two main things. First, our roles, like being a student, a parent, an artist, a friend. These roles come with certain expectations that shape our routines. And second, our habits. Those automatic behaviors like your morning coffee routine that you just do without even thinking about it.
And finally, we have performance capacity. This is the how well. This is your actual underlying toolbox of physical and mental abilities, your strength, your coordination, your memory, your problem-solving skills that allow you to actually perform the actions that your volition and habits have set in motion.
Okay, So we've got this incredible, detailed map of a person. That's great, right? But how do therapists actually translate this from a cool theory into real-world life-changing therapy? Well, the ultimate goal of all of this is to help someone achieve what's called occupational adaptation. It's really about two things: helping people build a strong occupational identity, which is a confident sense of who they are and what they can do, and then helping them develop occupational competence, which is feeling capable and effective in the roles and routines that make up their actual life.
And this is what makes MOHO so practical. It's not just a bunch of lofty ideas. It's a complete toolkit. We're talking more than 20 specific, easy-to-use assessments that help therapists measure things like a person's motivation and daily patterns in a really concrete, structured way.
So, and this is the crucial point, the intervention isn't about fixing what's wrong. It's a strength-based partnership. The therapist works with the client, identifying their passions and their existing abilities to build success, helping them create that powerful sense of identity and competence one step at a time.
So let's wrap this all up. Why does this model, born from a crisis over 40 years ago, remain such a cornerstone of the profession today?
Well, its legacy is just undeniable. It is the single most researched model of its kind, with a massive body of evidence backing it up. It's used by therapists all over the globe, and its principles are flexible enough to help anyone, at any age, facing any kind of challenge. It really did bring the profession back home.
And that leaves us with one final thought. MOHO is a powerful lens for understanding other people, but it's also a mirror for ourselves. So take a moment and just ask yourself, how do your own volition, your own unique habits, and your personal skills all come together to shape the story of your life?